Looking to find harmony and work-life balance? Join Coach AnnaJo as she shares practical strategies, empowering mindsets, and inspiring stories to live the life you want to lead on AnnaJo Talks, Work Life for Badasses. Now, here's your host, Coach AnnaJo.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of AnnaJo Talks, Work Life for Badasses. I'm Coach AnnaJo, and I'm here to challenge the myth of balance and find real harmony in modern life. Today's episode, I have a special guest, one amazing woman, a powerhouse, a leader, a mom, a wife, a true badass with amazing stories to share with you. Valerie Robinson in the house. Hi, Valerie, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am so good to have you here. So good to have you here within our group, right? So because today is a live with a group of the Science of Perfection, members. So it's still even more exciting. Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Look, Valerie, I'm going to read your bio so all our listeners from our podcast, knows you better. And then we dive into our juicy conversation. What about that?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So Valerie is a mother of three with children between ages of in college and high school, and a true example of resilience and ambition. She has completed the 75 Hard Challenge with an increased difficulty. We'll talk about that. Proving her commitment to pushing limits and achieving excellence. Also, Valerie has completed multiple marathons and the 7.3 Ironman. Yes. Professionally, Valerie serves as the CEO of Victory Consulting Group with extensive experience in project management, business strategy, and leadership. Her career spans both entrepreneurial ventures and corporate leadership, including participation in Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. She also holds a role in local government, using her expertise to drive community impact. Valerie is also a speaker who shares her insights on business growth, leadership, and D&I. Her wisdom has been featured in publications such as Essence, New Jersey Monthly, and the Network Journal's 40 Under 40 list. She is also a board member of the Girl Scouts of Central and Southern New York, mentoring and empowering young women. I'm so excited to introduce our guest, the powerhouse Valerie Robinson, a brilliant member of the Science of Perfection School. Today we're doing this something extra special, okay? Recording this podcast episode live with incredible members of the school. Welcome, Valerie. It's so good to have you here. So good to have you here. I'm so looking forward for this interview.
Oh, thank you, Anna. I'm humbled and honored that you invited me.
Yes, it's amazing. I always like to see introduce about how we met. And it was funny that the way we met, it was through your husband, right? And through my husband.
Yes, it was. It was. I think he saw you at something with what is the name of that company? It's
Pfizer.
Pfizer. That's it. I think
yes,
doing something at Pfizer. I guess you had a table and you talked to him about the power hour. He bought it for my birthday and it was right on time.
It was right on time. It was so funny. Actually, I was there in a this exhibit or this expo, for small business for women. And your husband was there. My husband was there as well. They met each other. He was like, all right, it's time. I'm going to buy this for my wife. He bought this for your wife. I did a big thing. It was a big behind the scenes. It was amazing, by the way. And then, we met and we are working together since then, which is incredible, the journey. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But meeting you is like an honor and knowing more about your story. And I would love that you could share with us your journey with us and starting with your story, because you have, your journey is quite like an adventure life. Start where you'd like to share regarding your journey here with our listeners at our podcast.
Yeah, so thanks, Anna, for the intro. So I wouldn't say I have one of those typical career journeys of somebody who's been in and out of corporate America. I have, and it's nothing wrong with being in corporate America if that's what you want to do. I have several friends who've done that for 20 plus years, but my journey is a little bit different. So I am an engineer by trade, did not necessarily want to do that, but it was a degree my mother told me I should
Oh
finish
my God,
and
I
that
didn't
she
know
would
that.
pay for. So I did my master's in management part-time and night at University of Maryland. And I wrote a business plan for this organic day spa and e-commerce site. Did that for about 7 years, went back into corporate, and then I took a package from a company that I was working for, started my consulting business because I always wanted to do that. And then most recently, I took a job going back into, I wouldn't say more the public sector. So I'm working in a program management office as a project management for the government now. And that's a little bit different too. So that's why I say my experience isn't linear, where it's just been working for, corporate America for 20 years. I have experience as an entrepreneur. I have experience in sales. I have experience in project management. And what I do believe is that God doesn't waste anything, and that it has given me a lot of different experiences. So whenever I come to an organization to collaborate or work with them, I bring all of those different experiences, and it works for me.
Wow,
Because
that's really
I think because
interesting.
I'm able to relate to different people,
Yes,
mainly. Yeah.
yes. And all those experience, you were a mom of three, right?
I
So you.
am. I am. That's probably the hardest job because children, young adults, I like
Yes,
to call them now, they will humble you. Like you read my bio and it's like
yes,
fantastic, like, wow, I did all that. But
yeah,
they do not care and they will humble
yeah,
you and put you in your place. So I do love being a mother, but it's a lot of hard work. And
yeah.
sometimes I need a break from them too.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. Yeah, interesting. So with all those facets, right, in life, right? So and this journey, it's really a journey, like
Right.
how you drive. Tell us about like what was the biggest learning? What's kind of like the common thing that you were looking for within those change, right? So I'm always looking for the decision making, the trigger that, okay, this is what I want, this is I'm looking for. So, and because you had like a quite significant changes, right? So when decision making along the life, tell us a bit more about what was the decisions like level like for you.
Yeah. So I do believe success is the journey, not a
Okay.
destination. So what those goals are for that season in your life might change. The goals I have for my life in my 30s and 40s are different for me now. I would say for the different things where I would consider success, and I would consider success launching my business. So launching Eden
Okay.
Organics and Victory Consulting Group. I would consider doing an Ironman 70.3 a success. I would consider my oldest child graduating at the end of this year from college a semester early, so in 3.5 years of success. So even though I did not do that, but I set her up. I put her in the
Yes.
position. So I would say the main discipline is truthfully focus and
Yeah.
prioritization. And I
Okay.
say you have different goals for different seasons of your life because we have to constantly be agile. And by that, you need to look at all the goals and objectives that you have in your life. And sometimes those priorities are going to shift. And that's
Okay.
okay. But I believing that you can do it and really laser focusing on that goal so you can focus, helps you to achieve it. There's
Okay.
I have this in my office where it says she believes she could, so she did. But
Yes.
there's a scripture that says, as a woman thinks, so she is. It's same concept. When you believe
Yes.
it, it's like my little high school motto:
Yes.
believe it, achieve it. See it, believe it, achieve it. That's what it is.
Oh my God,
Richie
I love
Rockets. Whoa. But
it.
when I believe you can see it and it becomes attainable, you might not achieve it right away, but it's in these little incremental goals that you will achieve it.
Yeah.
So those are
Yeah.
all wins or milestones that I like to look back on, and they give me hope for my next goal.
Absolutely. I'm very curious, like talk about like I see actually modules, right, in your life. One module, then another module, where you focus, you achieve, you overcome the obstacles. Tell us like if there is one, chapter of your life that you was really challenging and you want to share with us how you overcome the challenge.
Yeah, I would say so. I had my business Eden Organics for a number of years, and that was a big accomplishment because I did a lot with that in regards to the branding, the website, filing paperwork with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. A big accomplishment, but at the same time, when my oldest daughter was about I want to say she was about 8 or 9 years old. She actually collapsed in front of her school. She was like in the
Oh, okay. I didn't know
fourth, fifth grade.
that.
And it took her out. And my mother-in-law like died the same day. And when I say it took her out, she was in the ICU for a month. And then she was in rehab for a couple of months after that. So obviously my priority shifted,
Of course. Yeah, yeah.
and I was in the hospital with her, but I was also at my business too, not as much. But when she came out of that, I had when she came out of that, right before like literally all those things happened, I had signed up for the Ironman Princeton. And I'd been
Oh,
running a couple of marathons before then. And I remember telling my husband that December that I signed up, and he was like, "Oh, that's going to take a lot of work." Well, in hindsight, that really became therapy for me because it gave me something else to focus on. And when you run for long distance, for endurance training, you have a lot of time to think. And
yes.
so
Yes.
just to give people overview. So when you do a half, I did a half Ironman. You do a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. You actually start out with a 1.2-mile swim,
Mhm.
and then you do a 56-mile bike,
Oh,
and then you finish up with the half marathon. So that was therapeutic for me, just the training for it. So I was running while she was in the hospital. But once she came out of it, it it gave me something else to focus on, and really just it was like the best year of my life, but the worst year of my life,
I bet.
because of all those different things happening. But the priorities shifted, but I would say they were a success because like now she's walking just fine. She collapsed. We found out she had an autoimmune condition called Guillain-Barré that attacks the nervous system. But she's totally fine now. She's a successful college student, and very proud of her. But it also gave me the discipline to know that I could do hard things
Oh, yes.
in challenging times. But I would have to shift my focus. So I would say that's my biggest accomplishment. I did close my business up probably like a year after that, and it was really because I felt like after coming through that, I was I wouldn't say I wouldn't spend enough time with my kids because I've always spent time with my kids, but it wasn't as important to me. And when you own a business at that level where you have like direct reports and employees, I did not want the responsibility at that time. So it was a shift for me. And I was able to help my husband close out some things with his mother's estate. And then I went back into corporate. So it was a win-win for me
Yeah.
to be able to have some normalcy and went from
All
there.
right.
So it was a win because, hey, my daughter is like killing it now. And,
Of course,
I'm
that's
proud of
what
her.
really is priority, right? So this
Yeah,
is really what you're talking about priority when it comes to health, and especially to the closest ones in our life, right? So that's
yeah,
really a great example on perspective, what means a priority.
yeah.
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 Thank you for sharing. Wow. I didn't know those details. Wow. Yeah. Regarding to the shift from, you said like I closed my business 1 year after because I want to go to the real, like what you say, like a normal life, right? You
Yeah.
mentioned that. Normally how we say and listen so much and hear so much is like, okay, I'm sick of corporate. I'm going to get the business to have my time back, right? So, but
Yeah.
this is not your experience, and honestly, it's not my experience as well. And I think really to start a business, it's really need a passion. So I'm very curious from your experience, right? So how would it look like from your business, successful business, and coming back to corporate America?
So I will say when I had that type of business, I had a service-based business and an e-commerce business. I
Mm-hmm.
was on. So like if something happened with some of my customers, or if there was an online review and it was negative, or there was orders that
Yeah.
needed to be placed and my employees didn't fulfill them, I had to do it. So I was working
Mm-hmm.
tremendously. I remember my daughter had like a dance recital or
Mm-hmm.
something,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't go to the dance school because my husband did that. Like that was his responsibility.
Okay.
And I showed up at the recital. I think some of the moms were like, "Who is this?" Like, "Oh," But I was working, and my daughter she understood. She actually would
Mm-hmm.
come help, and count the money
Mm-hmm.
and that ship out things sometimes. I think that's a good thing. I think kids need to learn that. But I would say in regards to what was the next part of the question? I forgot. I'm sorry.
How does it look like coming from
Oh, like
the
going to
business to
corporate.
corporate America and then leaving
So
now corporate America, right?
yeah,
So
so when I say like normal, so I mean like a regular paycheck. That's what I mean. So I will say when you are an entrepreneur, you have a certain amount of hustle within you that when things shift, which they do, you will find something. You will learn. I think you're very agile, you're a sponge, you want to learn. And I think sometimes when people sit in corporate America too long, they become complacent. Not all the time, but there's some people like they've been at the same organization and they haven't taken advantage of anything. They haven't gone back to school. Maybe they want to get their master's degree. Maybe they want to get their certification. I feel like whenever you're at an organization, you need to leverage that for yourself for continuous improvement and continuous learning. Because the way corporate is, not just today, but in the past, present, and future, your job is not guaranteed and they can lay you off at any time. And
yeah,
even in the government, we're seeing that right now with this new administration, they are laying people off. And a government job for many years was really considered stable.
yeah,
I would not say that right now in the current climate that we're in. And with everything that's happening within our economy, I think it truthfully behooves people to have another source of income.
Yeah, yeah. So you're saying like it's taking care like all your goals. Why you're doing that? To take the best out of your environment and the circumstances you're living in your own growth and development is something that you,
Yeah, I think you should be constantly learning and growing.
yeah,
I mean, I've started this new role within this program management office to help build it. And I've been wanting to do I have like Lean Six Sigma, but yellow belt. I wanted to do my green belt. And I told my manager last week, hey, I want to do this. She was like, hey, sure, we have the money for it. So I think you should take advantage of those different opportunities. I'm not saying you're like a bad person if you don't. Maybe you have competing priorities, and this isn't the season for you to do that, and that's okay. But I think you should take advantage of different things, especially if you can get an organization to pay for it.
yeah, 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 absolutely. Absolutely. You have
Yeah,
to ask. If you don't ask,
yeah,
you won't
yeah.
take it.
Closed
Absolutely.
hands don't get fed. So, I think everybody needs to think about what's the return on investment for my time and energy. And if that's one of the benefits that you can receive out of it, hey,
I
take
love that.
advantage of it.
I love that. Return of investment of your time. Either you are in your business, which is more direct, right, in terms of the receiving the outcome.
Yes,
But if you are in the corporate as well, oh my God, I love that. Great.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Can we keep going? Because I have another question, because
Yeah,
I
let's
know a
go.
bit
Let's
of the
go.
how you live your life, right? So, but I'm so looking forward that you share with you, because you have a very dynamic life. Still now, you are in some boards, and you have your job at the government, and you are a speaker, and so you have a very dynamic career right now in leadership roles, and you are the leader of as a mom as well, right? Very
Yeah.
active as well with your kids right now. So how do you approach balancing your professional responsibilities with your personal life?
Yeah, that's always like a constant juggle. So I will say I live by my whiteboard, meaning like my calendar. So I have a whiteboard that the whole family sees. I mean, part of it truthfully is communication. And actually, it's funny, I just talked about this last week for an organization that I was speaking to. And when I say communication, there's internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So my internal stakeholders are my family, and my external stakeholders are, my colleagues that I work with. Constant communication is key,
Yeah,
scheduling is key, prioritizing date nights with my husband
yeah,
is key. Why is that important? Because I value the relationship. I value the trust that we have. And in order for our family to do well, we need to be in constant communication. So I will say my family, and when I say constant communication, I think it's also communicating what your goals and objectives are so they understand what's happening in your life. I always like tell my children, like, I don't know things by osmosis. I need you to tell me what's happening, like not just in your schedule, but like if you need help with something, you need to articulate it. And that's key because, what did you just say? Like closed hands don't get fed. Like ask and
yeah,
you shall receive. But
yeah,
you need to ask.
yeah,
You can't just assume. So for me, I'm on this constant health journey. Like I have like green tea here. I have my water in this bottle, right? So part of that is just for me like doing meal prep. So like Sundays
hmm,
I cook a little bit more food so I can be successful going into the week, excuse me, with what I eat, but also prioritizing exercise. I'm working on my sleep. I'm working on my sleep because I wake up in the middle of the night. But prioritizing that and communicating that, but also everybody playing their part. So,
Yeah.
like this morning, I was yelling at my son because he didn't take the garbage out. He didn't take the garbage to the curb. I'm like, that is your job. I need you to do that. It's important because it affects all of us. It's kind of like
Yes.
supply chain. Like
Yeah.
when somebody within the supply chain, like if it doesn't get delivered to the customer, there's a
Yes.
stopgap. And I think everybody plays a role in that and having everybody understand, even though they might think their role is minor, it does make an
Mm-hmm.
impact. I think that's very key.
Mm-hmm.
And really building that trust. And I would say having healthy conflict is key too, because I don't think people agree all the time.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
but like having conversations like, hey,
Yeah.
what do you consider this as a priority? And I mean, as an entrepreneur, and you have to make those tough decisions
Yeah.
sometimes. Like,
Absolutely.
am I going to pay payroll or
Yeah.
am I going to pay the rent?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes it is tough for some entrepreneurs out there like that. And it has been for me in the past.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I'm more of in a consulting business. So I'm not as stressed out um, when I had like a physical location. But you have to constantly prioritize and juggle. Is life isn't static, it's dynamic.
Yes.
You have to be agile.
I love the perspective you have because you talk about that as well, right? So you are an expert in project management. You have all the certifications possible in project management, right? So,
I have
and you
one.
bring that to personal life, right?
Yeah.
This is what you do. Tell us a bit more about that because this is one of your keynotes and your these specialities when you speak as well, right? And have delivered keynotes. Tell us more about that, like how you bring the project management skills, right, to the personal life.
Yeah, so I alluded to some of it earlier when I was talking about stakeholders,
Yes.
internal and external stakeholders, but I think what really drives us in regards to project management, I think in regards to personal life, in project management, they call it scope. So when you are laser focused on your scope, you know your purpose, and you know it has a beginning and an end. I think in life, when you're laser focused, when you understand your purpose, that helps
Yes.
you to set
Oh,
your
I love that.
priorities, and then everything else should align from there. So, right now, I would say my priority in regards to my life, I look at it in different buckets, but in regards to my legacy and my brand, I want to build myself as a project management expert. I also want to launch my young adults into successful independent adults. That is
Yeah.
key for me. So, like nothing against anybody who's like 40 living at home, but I don't want my children here at that at
Yeah.
that time. I don't want them here in my house.
Yeah.
But I would say, that is my goal, is to launch successful young adults as a mother, to be a supportive wife. I also want a supportive, husband too. And he is. And my goal is to really build myself in the project management field as an expert in agile coaching, and to bring joy to everything that I do. So if I don't want to do it, I need to roll off of it. And some things I am rolling off of just because I have competing priorities right now for this season in my life. And I realize I can't do everything. And when I'm at work from whatever 8 to 5 during the day, I don't want to come home and be on Zoom meetings every evening. I need some
Yeah.
downtime. I might want to
Yeah.
have like a cocktail with my girlfriend or something like that, or go out with my husband, or just watch a movie on
Yeah.
Netflix, and that's okay. Or just think and read a book. But I need that downtime in order to reflect and refocus.
Wow. Very good. All right. So if someone wants to get to know more and learn more about project management skills and bring that to life, talk to Valerie Robinson. Here we are.
Yes, yes.
That's very important. I agree with that. So, and regarding and now, like, so I'm because I talk about that, you talk about the Iron Man, but I saw you doing, right? So like I was a testimonial, like, oh my God, for the 75 hard, which was last year, right? So
Yeah,
ended like
last year.
before just it ended just before the Thanksgiving, right? So it's
Yes,
just
right
before
before
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Yeah,
So you did the 75 hard and
yeah.
you up level like the difficulty, saying I'm not drinking coffee. I was like, but
That
that's
was so hard. I mean, I'm back to drinking coffee now. I do enjoy it, but like, you don't have to give up coffee in 75 hard, but I did.
yes, yes.
I'm not gonna. If I do it again, I'm not gonna give up coffee.
Yeah,
I'm not
like
gonna give up coffee.
75 days, no coffee. Okay, no alcohol, like the diet,
Yeah,
but then no
yeah,
coffee. It was like a hard thing. So I was thinking about like I did like all the phases of the 75 hard, but I always drank coffee. All right.
yes,
So
yes,
but
yes.
tell us like what was the challenges and how overcome the challenges and what was the outcome after doing certain challenge of 75 days consistently doing what you did.
Yeah, no, 75 hard was good because you do 90 minutes of exercise. So 45 minutes has to be outside. So I was doing weights. You have to take a picture of yourself. I drink a
Yes.
gallon of water a
Yes.
day. No cheat meals. So
Yeah.
that was hard. So that's why I did it before Thanksgiving because once you get into the holidays, I think that's very challenging, at least
Yes.
for me personally. And then you also need to read 10 pages of a book every day. I love
Yeah.
that. So I had a goal last year of anyway of reading um at least a book a month. So that
Mm-hmm.
was in alignment with my goal. But I think 75 hard is good because it helps you to remember like you could do hard things. I think it also is important that you I think there's delight in discipline. And by that, I mean that when you discipline yourself, you know you can do those hard things, and then the results of that are delightful. So
Oh,
there's
yes.
delight in discipline.
Yes.
And if you do take a picture of yourself every
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
do 75 hard. So I actually might do it again in March. Because we have more light outside now. We're coming out of this darkness of winter.
Yes.
Um, and I do enjoy walking outside, so that part was fun.
Yes.
And I think it just gives you time to reflect. I think it's important to have that discipline, but also it helps you to establish boundaries about what you are and
Mm-hmm.
are not going to do. And I think boundaries are healthy in life, not just personally, but just, in your career about what you are going to do and not do. And I think, when I go out a lot, probably more than like most,
Yeah.
most of my friends. So, not like drinking and not doing dessert was definitely a
Good
challenge for
challenge.
me, but I found good alternatives. I would eat fruit or something instead, or I would do like a spritzer with seltzer and lime and like cranberry juice instead of like maybe my typical cocktail.
Yeah.
So I know I
Yeah.
can do it now and
Yeah.
get
And
and
that's a
get used
big
to that.
thing. Now you
Yeah,
know you can do it, right? So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
actually it's rewarding. I think it's the like you call it. I think it's the
Mhm.
rewarding,
Yeah,
and
it is.
resisting all those moments that "Oh, I can do that." No, yes, you can.
Yes,
Yes, you
yes,
can.
you can.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can.
you can
And
find
yes, you can is like, oof. What else can I do, right?
exactly, exactly.
Oh my God, that's inspiring. All right. What's 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 the future look like for you, Valerie?
What's the future look like? Yeah, I think I'm trying to figure that out right now too.
Mm,
So say for me, so a lot revolves the next, what is this, February, next 3, 4 months around my oldest. So he's graduating from high school. So that's big. For us, so that's our second kid out of high school and on to his next adventure. And then I would say I will probably do 75 hard again. I didn't do like the 30-day period afterwards. I think I was just like, oh, it's Thanksgiving, I'm done. So I think I will do that. And I actually had written a book many years ago and I never launched it. Um, so I actually might try and relaunch that. I just need to kind of figure out when. Because I never did like a formal book launch for it, but I think that's been in the back of my mind. It's just I need to get some things organized first.
Yeah.
And I think I'll put it out there. I think I'll put it out
Oh,
there.
that's coming. All right, good.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So
right. So I'd like to
sometime.
yeah, a last question here, right? So then we go to the rapid fire type of questions. But before I want to, from like you are truly badass, you know that, right? Okay.
I
And
received that, Coach. I received that, Coach. Yeah.
what advice from badass to badass would you give to our listeners who want to feel empowered and confident in their lives?
Ooh. I would say it is very important to understand what the mission and vision and purpose is for your life.
Mhm.
When you write that vision and just make it very simple, write the vision and make it plain, I
Yeah.
think that allows you to focus and you will start to put together the incremental pieces and strategy in order for you to achieve that goal, whatever that goal is. But you need time to think.
Yes. Yes.
So block
Okay.
that time.
Okay. So block the time to build your mission.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's
Block the time
powerful.
to build your
Yes.
mission.
And simplify it because you're right. To do it like in a simple way that is visible, articulated is not a easy job. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
this conversation. But now I don't want to, leave here. I would like to go to the rapid fire type of questions if you are up to. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's start. Favorite superhero?
Black Panther,
Okay. Favorite place?
Chicago in the summertime.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Favorite music?
Mm. Gospel.
Say again. I couldn't hear you. What?
Gospel.
Oh, okay,
Gospel because
Godspell.
it's
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I
because
love it
it's
as well. Hmm.
inspiring. Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
inspiring. Yeah.
Favorite book?
Ooh. I would say Walk Through Fire
Oh,
by Deborah Deborah Johnson. She is like an inspiring entrepreneur. She owns all the professional sports teams within Washington, D.C.
uh-huh.
She owns the Salamander Group, so she owns like a hotel and spa in Middleburg, Virginia, but also Florida, Jamaica, someplace else too. But when I read her book and everything that she's been through in regards to her resilience and where she is now, like she is a badass and she's rich.
I love it. Okay, we put like the key, like the show notes, that book. All right.
Yeah.
Good, good. Favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert. I would say a good strawberry shortcake.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Valerie, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this, like interview. Learning more about you is an honor. And I bet that our listeners out there, the other badasses are inspired as well. But before we go, tell us where we can find you.
Oh, check me out at
Okay.
victoryconsultinggroup.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn and Instagram. So LinkedIn is Valerie MR.
Okay.
And you can follow Victory Consulting Group on Instagram and LinkedIn. You'll see a beautiful, powerful purple logo.
Yes, it's true.
And
Yes,
you'll
we
see a picture of me.
Okay, okay, okay. We put all those notes here on the show notes, so everybody, our listeners, can follow you and connect with you, and and follow up if they have any questions or any follow up, or invite you for any other keynotes because you are a speaker as well and available to inspire this world, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. All right. So thank you for tuning in to AnnaJo Talks Work Life for Badasses. I hope today's episode has inspired you to live life on your own terms. Until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are capable, and you can do hard things. See ya.
You've been listening to AnnaJo Talks, Work Life for Badasses, with your host, Coach AnnaJo. To learn more about Coach AnnaJo, her blogs, and her coaching programs on how to achieve the work-life harmony you deserve, head on over to AnnaJoTalks.com. Make sure to follow Coach AnnaJo at Coach AnnaJo on all social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe and listen to all of the AnnaJo Talks episodes on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. AnnaJo Talks, Work Life for Badasses.